Hi everybody, this is Giuseppe Rossi and welcome to Pepito's Take. Before we start off, please subscribe below. Today, I have my boy Peter Curto here with me, a very good friend of mine. Pete, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. I'm excited.
Thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate it, man. Me and Peter, we go back, not way back.
Not way back.
We go back to the RSL days, the Real Salt Lake City days. I was looking for a team, and my friend actually contacted you.
Correct.
And I was able to, find RSL as a team, and I started my MLS career thanks to this guy, thanks to him and Mario and his team at Supra Soccer Agency. Bro, I want to know one thing.
Let's hear it.
I thought that I was the only Italian American growing up when I was a kid, that nobody understood my values and my traditions, but I think I wasn't. I think I belonged in Brooklyn, where you grew up. Am I correct?
Now you finally.
I think I belonged. I'm not saying I want to be from Brooklyn.
Now you.
But I think I belong there.
You're coming around.
I think I belong there.
You're coming around. You see that?
Now, did you have the same problems as me, that when I wanted to find a pickup game, for me, it was the hardest thing ever to find players to play pickup game? Did you have the same problems growing up in Brooklyn?
Of course. Unfortunately.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because as a soccer player or a soccer fan growing up, it's like as if you're a second-class citizen. So, like, there was nothing. Then, as I got older, you started seeing a lot of baseball fields turn into soccer fields.
Nice.
And just more development of the game and passion for the game. But definitely growing up, I mean, I played soccer at the youth levels. Mm-hmm. There was the Italian American community, obviously, which was very passionate for the game. But maybe also because growing up, my mom didn't allow me to go out to the park. So it used to just be my brother and I. Yeah. So we have like the driveway and the garage. Yes. So both my brother and I are lefties. And it so happened that, it was a perfect angle to kind of, now it's called the tiragiro, right? With Insigne, how we kind of put it. Del Piero did it. Insigne. But yeah, Del Piero.
Proceed.
I'm trying to get for your young fans here. You have a lot of young fans.
Right. Insigne,
they know Insigne. Okay. But Del Piero, the famous tiragiro. But growing up, and I don't know, I don't want to jump the gun, but a lot of people, if they watch IFTV, they know I'm an Inter fan or Inter supporter.
I was just about to say, now, did you follow Inter? Or did you follow the Brooklyn Italians?
No, come on.
We used to Brooklyn Italians.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Brooklyn Italians. There's a lot of history there, and to win 2 U.S. Open Cups.
For real?
Yeah. So that's the equivalent to the Coppa Italia. The Brooklyn Italians won 2 of them, that's crazy. And they had a bunch of guys that are still working within the MLS or, that were pro players here in the U.S. At the time that there wasn't a lot of options. But growing up as an Inter fan, we had one lefty that was talent-wise probably top.
Wait. Recoba?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay, good. I was about to say, I'm thinking about who's another lefty. If you think about it, lefties that play for Inter, you got Recoba. Do you know who you have that probably nobody knows he was a lefty? Bobo Vieri.
Yeah.
Bobo Vieri, one of the biggest, bombers in the history of the game, bro. He was a lefty too, though. Yeah. So don't leave him out.
No. I can't leave him out. But for me, Recoba was special technically. Wow. I mean, you don't see a better player how clean he struck the ball. And I was still young, but it's crazy to think, like R9, right? Yes. When his debut, Recoba stole the show. Oh, really? Recoba came in at halftime versus Venezia.
Yes.
And scored 2 golazos.
Yes. One was on a free kick. Was one on a free kick? And then one was like outside of the box, like upper 90.
Insane.
I remember that, yes.
And you don't see goals like that anymore.
You're right.
So that's a discussion that we're going to take up even within the hot take, so I don't want to steal any thunder. Definitely. Like, we should even consider changing the hot take because for me, players back in the day, like the way that they struck the ball and the way that they play the game, it's different game, different style of play,
different world.
But like unreal, like some of these guys that I grew up watching, and obviously you're a little bit older. I don't want to give it away to anybody. A little bit older.
It's public news, bro. Just go on.
They can go on yours.
Guys, I'm 36. I mean, it's very simple. I think you all know.
Well, I just turned the third. I just joined the 30 club.
Welcome.
We're only 6 years apart. Welcome. But we grew up probably watching the same
Definitely,
players
man.
play. You
Definitely,
know, you
definitely.
were
Listen,
rooting
I
for
grew
the
up a
other
Milan
side.
fan.
Yeah.
I grew up a Milan fan. So let me think. In the '90s, you guys were irrelevant.
Oh, come on.
In
I
the
mean,
'90s,
it's true. It's true.
in the
It's true.
you guys had
Until
nobody.
Moratti came in. Moratti came in late
Until
90s.
Moratti came in, yes, he did start investing, and then late '90s and the 2000s, you guys, picked that up big time. But when I was a kid, man, truthfully, the biggest game for me, yes, everybody says Milan Inter. I enjoy Milan Inter, but bro, when it was Milan Juve,
Yeah.
I'm not kidding, bro. Milan Juve was the game
Yeah.
for me. But then when I got older, when I was in my teens, that's when Inter started becoming the Inter, of old. Actually, it was that time that Milan won the Champions League, and we beat you guys, and then they started throwing
2003.
2003, and then they started throwing all those what do you call it?
The fumogene.
The fumogene. What do you call them in English? I don't even know. Just put the subtitles in there. The fumogene.
Nick, you got that?
On the field, and it was like crazy, right?
Flares.
So, flares. That's
flares.
the word. Flares. That was crazy. That's when I started like really like getting into the Milan Inter rivalry, right? But then obviously when I started playing, I started thinking about my own teams.
Correct.
And I'll tell you actually why. I'll tell you why I didn't become a fan of Milan. A little bit of scoop, a little bit of behind the scenes. So after the Confederation Cup, 2009, I did great. I scored 2 goals against the USA. I played good against Brazil and Egypt. I was playing in Spain at the time. Borriello. He was on the team. And he comes up to me. He's like, listen, we're going to get rid of Huntelaar. And Galliani told me that they're going to come after you. I'm like, oof, bro, inside I was so happy. I'm like, yes, that was a team of my heart. Like my father, like I've been so happy. Perfect. Yeah. So I'm following the summer, and they haven't gotten rid of Huntelaar. Okay, they got rid of Huntelaar. It comes the last week of August. Finally, Huntelaar gone. Now I'm like, yes, here we go, man. I'm waiting for the call. Never got a call. I was so pissed because according to Marco Borriello, Galliani said that to him. And it kind of like, made my hopes, jump up. I was like, yo, I'm so happy that this is going to happen. And it never happened. So then after that, I took it personal. And I was like, you know what? Screw that, man. Screw you guys. F that. And I never... I never scored against Milan. I would have been so happy if I scored against Milan. But I did score against Inter. At the San Siro.
Uh-huh. How was that? I was playing San Siro.
Sick, bro. It's sick. So listen to my first experience at the San Siro. My first experience was Manchester United. I was 17 years old, and they were playing Milan in the Champions League quarterfinals or semifinals. I forgot what it was. I think it was the quarterfinals. And obviously, Sir Alex Ferguson knew I was Italian, so he took me on the trip. So I trained the night before at the San Siro, and then I wasn't in the squad. I was in Tribuna, but I was able to get seats literally on the field, right by the bench. Bro, listen, I'm not joking. I was still a Milan fan. I was 17 years old. I was still a Milan fan, bro. And Milan won 1-0. There was a cross, I think it was by Cafu. Hernan Crespo on the second post. Head ball. Bam. The ball went right over Tim Howard, I think it was. Tim Howard, boom, goal. Milan wins 1-0. But what sticks to me the most? Warm-ups. The song of Milan, I think it was Eye of the Tiger. I'm not joking. Bam. Bam, 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 and then that's when Gattuso starts running out. Bow, all ball by himself, bro. I saw Gattuso, and I was like, yo, this guy is a monster, bro. He's gonna eat everybody up, bro. I was like scared of Gattuso then.
Like foaming at the mouth coming out of the locker room.
That was the best scene that I've ever saw, bro. Gattuso running there with the Eye of the Tiger song. You kidding me? Then the whole team coming out, the atmosphere, San Siro, everybody's literally on top of you.
Yeah.
Right? So like, in order to play at San Siro for Milan or Inter, bro, you need to have, you need to have balls, bro.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my first impact there, and then I was able to play there 2 times in my career, 3 times in my career, and I was able to score a goal like against Inter, like I said, a penalty against Andanovic.
Who is the top goalkeeper for penalties?
Yes, back then he was actually the number 1, and he used to save all penalty kicks,
yeah.
but I made sure I studied.
Now, how do you study? Because I think a lot of people wouldn't realize that you. How much studying goes into that?
Oh, I take the night before, man, and I ask the coaches for like a video. I'm like, yo, give me videos of every single penalty kick, because I always like to see how they move, when they move, how their first step is if they go left, how their first step is when they dive right. So there's like a lot of little tiny things to look for. Do they dive a little bit before that they kick the ball?
Yeah.
Or do they wait till the last second?
Mm-hmm.
I was somebody who always waited I always waited for the goalkeeper to move.
Wow.
And then I was able to slide it in left or right. Some goalkeepers didn't move at all.
Mm-hmm.
So if they don't move, then you have that extra second to shoot it wherever you want, and then he's not going to get there
Yeah, you just gotta put
in
it
time. And that was Andanovic.
Mm-hmm.
Like talking about that, Andanovic was somebody who waited at the last second.
Yeah.
You know, they do their own research
Of
too.
course.
And they knew that I was somebody who would stop all the time.
Uh-huh.
So I had many goalkeepers that waited till the last second. Some just couldn't help it, so I was able to always, put them left or right. But some was tough. Him, Buffon, never. When I did take that penalty kick against Juve, he didn't move. So these were, they study us too.
Of course.
So we have to always be a step ahead.
But it's always good to hear, like, even for a lot of fans or people that are growing up that want to play soccer or whatever, the importance of finding those little details, especially when it's a game, so, such as a vis-a-vis in a penalty kick.
Of course, bro. It's always that little stuff, man. It's always that little stuff because, bro, you're talking about top quality goalkeepers, man. There aren't like scrubs anymore. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's the small details that are able to get you through.
And you talk about Italy. Lucky for people that are watching, we made it into the Euros.
Oh Lord.
So like we can
and thank God that we didn't have to shoot any penalty.
Exactly. Well,
thank God we had to shoot a penalty kick, because if I saw Jorginho go up in there and take a penalty kick, I swear to gosh, I would have gone through the screen and be like, "What the hell are you guys doing?"
And that's the thing. So Jorginho ended up missing another penalty versus Macedonia. Luckily, we didn't need the penalty.
Yeah, but bro, you gotta be like
a
little bit smart, bro. He shoots at the same time every single time, bro. Use a little bit like your head, man. Like people start studying you, right? And guess what? It happened to me in Spain where I missed it. And then I'm like, no, bro, I hate the feeling of missing a penalty kick. And luckily in my career, I think I missed 3 or 4 out of like 40.
Yeah.
It's the worst feeling.
Yeah.
Missing a penalty.
Well, you also have one of the highest percentage as penalty kick takers. So
Yes, I do.
that's still relevant today, because you look at someone like Jorginho that also had a high percentage at once, and then literally missed 4. They find you out. They know what you're doing.
Out, man.
And his style also has got that little skip, so he doesn't really have that chance to change a direction. Exactly. At that point, you're going that way, or else your knee is gonna.
If you don't move, bro, if the goalkeeper doesn't move when he starts jumping, it's game over.
Exactly.
It's game over. That's why I hate to jump, and I never wanted to jump, because you're in the air, and you can't twist your body left or right when you're in the air, right? So that's why I never did that. But you're right, man. Jorginho wasn't able to adapt, and guess what? I think Spalletti actually did say that he would not take the goal. First, he would not take no penalty.
He came out in a Spalletti way, in a sense, like, this is my guy. He's gonna take the next penalty. Kind of show. But I think after a night's sleep, he was like, I can't have Jorginho come up and we miss another penalty kick and we don't go through. Not luckily, but luckily, Italy was able to go through with a 0-0 draw, but it was not a game for the faint of heart.
Bro, imagine if literally Ukraine was able to, if they called the penalty kick. I'm telling you, that was a penalty kick.
Oh, yeah. I think so, too. That was a penalty kick. I think so, too. A lot of people are not complaining, but they're going back and forth as far as if it was a penalty or wasn't. For me, it is, because you're going through the guy, you're stepping on the guy's going, and you're taking advantage away from him.
But imagine them not making the tournament, bro.
People don't realize. I mean, Italy, calcio, football, soccer, however you want to call it, it's a matter of life and death. And even the economy, everything that goes around the game, is so important for the bars, the restaurants. The shopping, everything
just
is
tourism
impacted.
Itself,
tourism,
right? Having all the people out there. I mean, it's like you said, it's literally a big part of their life. And you have those people that don't care about soccer.
Yeah, I mean, it's normal.
But guess what? Those people who don't care about soccer get sucked in by their friends, by their families, and guess what? They're watching the game too.
But especially the Italian national team. Maybe you don't watch the Serie A games or whatever, but you know what's happening because it's on 24/7. Like, you go to a bar in Italy to get a coffee, they're going to be talking about the game and what happened, the newspaper, everything it circles around the game.
100%, man, 100%. Listen, I remember playing with the national team, and the pressure that you feel wearing that shirt, man. I'm telling you, man, that thing weighs 10 times more than your club shirt, 10 times more than anything, right? Because you literally have all those fans that are on you, that are cheering for you. And listen, Italian fans, they're critical, man.
Oh yeah.
So if you mess up one thing, you're the worst player in the world. You score a goal, you're the best player in the world, right? So I could just imagine how or what the fans were saying in these past 2 World Cups that we didn't make. Yeah, we won the Euros, and everybody was the best players in the world, right?
Sure.
But then we didn't make the World Cup. So then now we're the worst players. And now we barely made it into the Euros. And now you got the fans that are like, there's like, they're like 50-50. So are we gonna be able, your opinion, you think that we're gonna be able to show our best version come the Euros? Do we have the team?
So I mean, I think we'll touch on it later, but the style of play and everything about the game has evolved, right?
Yep.
I think a lot of the reasons for Italy's maybe mishaps or not having these top players that we once had is also a lack of investment within the youth structure within Italy.
Yeah.
You have top coaches, you have, the culture is there, but I think investments could surely be better and concentrated in developing talent. Players don't play in the streets anymore. Like a lot of these guys that are from Argentina, Brazil, these kids grow up poor and still are playing in the streets because that's where you're going to get your creativeness in what you want to do on the field as far as a flair or thinking outside the box, doing something different. But you go to Italy, this national team. I think Spalletti, he just got there.
He's bringing something back, though, right?
Yeah.
He's bringing back that love for the team again, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like how it was in the beginning with Mancini.
Yeah. And he just got there. I think if you give him enough time, he's going to put together a strong performance, and he does great work. Obviously, we saw the way that Napoli played and cruised to the Scudetto last year. He's going to be able to, I think, build on top of what Mancini did, and like you said, bring the enthusiasm back.
Yeah, that's important.
You need the players, but like Chiesa needs to be healthy. When Chiesa's on, he's a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, so see, but that's the problem. So first off, investment, you're right with that, but also it's the trust factor, right? The trust factor of believing in the young kids that you have, because I feel like there is a lot of talent, right? In the youth systems. It's just that patience to wait for the development is not there, right?
Yep.
So how can we change that? How can that be something how can that be our way of breeding our young talent and not going out and buying every single person from South America, Africa, and concentrating more on them rather than our own.
Yeah.
Right. So how can we figure that part out? That's what I'm trying to wrap my head around, because listen, Milan.
Yeah.
Milan just has this 15-year-old kid come out of that.
Yeah.
Come in, he played for 10 minutes. I see his numbers. I see what he's been doing at a youth level, and still young. He's still raw, but it's great to see that a big team like Milan is, hopefully they will be investing more in the talent of these young kids. Give them time to develop.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's something that these teams could consider and see.
Well, I definitely picking off of that. I mean, the fact of the matter is, within Italy, all that counts is that you win the game. They don't care if you play a nice style.
Yeah.
If you lose, after 2-3 games, the fans are calling for you to leave, to go. So the coach also, I think, has a responsibility where they're looking, obviously, what the objectives are in the season, but they have to also save their behind, where they have to be able to say, I can risk playing these younger kids, but the trust might not be there, because we know in Italy, tactically, it's to the extreme even at sometimes, where positioning and just being at the right place always, you can't necessarily trust a 16, 17-year-old kid to do that.
Yeah.
But in other leagues, we see, in Spain, obviously in France, there's been so many years that younger and younger players are coming through. Barcelona, Gavi, this kid is remarkable, right?
Yeah,
And he's
but
so young.
but they take care of those
Yeah.
young kids at a young age. Then when they come into the first team, they continue to take
Hmm.
care of them. They don't get lost among those big players. They don't get lost in the system. They still understand this kid's young, right? And I'm going to dedicate more time for this kid to develop. So I'm giving him the time. I'm giving also my time as a coach, to give him the tools that he needs in order to fit into the system. But what happens a lot is that the coaches don't want to spend that extra time. They don't want to spend that extra time with the young ones and make them feel comfortable in the system. No, hey, listen, you're in the first team. You figure it out now.
Yeah.
That's what happens a lot, right? You figure it out. And bro, at 18, 19, even 20 years old, it's hard by yourself to figure these certain things out, right? You need the love and care of the people around you. If it's the players, if it's the coaches, and if you do give them the time and they don't respond, then I understand. You know what? It's not for you. You
Yeah.
said you sit on the side. But then what happens is that if you don't take care of the people, if you don't take care of those young players, right, and give them a little bit of confidence, and being part of that system, what happens is that you're not going to breed players, and then guess what? You're going to have a generation without a number 9 on the damn national team.
Which
You
we're at
understand?
right now.
Which is something that we have right now, right? And it's very. I hope that I see this in Euros and they shut me up, right?
Yeah.
But I don't see that number 9, like you said, right? We're talking about Boba Vieri, we're talking about the people Inzaghi's, and we're talking about, what was it, like 15 years ago, right?
Yeah.
That we won the World Cup.
Yep.
We had these, bro, we had Del Piero, we had Totti, we had freaking Inzaghi, we had Luca Toni.
Yeah.
Up top, Gilardino, who barely saw minutes, but we had Gilardino. These are like 4 or 5 strikers that are like world class,
Yeah.
bro. World class. The last time we won the Euros, we had barely Immobile.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Barely Immobile. And we got by because the team worked properly. Our midfield was ridiculous, the best midfield
Yeah.
in the world at that time with Verratti, Jorginho, and
Barella.
Barella, right? But yeah, like we barely have that number 9 player who could be that force up top, right? The last guy that comes in my head is probably, I don't even know, who was it? Balotelli in the Euros, but just like that. I mean, just in that tournament that he did very good.
Yeah.
In 2014, I believe it was. But it's hard that we were. It's hard to breed players. Hard to have these young players reach a certain level of play, a certain understanding of the game, a comfortability playing at these high levels if they're not taken care of at a young age, right? And I think I was fortunate enough to go away from Italy at 17 and to go to England where they literally took care of me as a young player, and that's why I was able then to come back to Italy, do well, and then play and whatnot. So I feel bad sometimes for the young Italian players who come in and who are brought up because they're not given that chance to learn, to make mistakes, and to learn from them.
Yeah. But what is the difference? Because, I mean, in Italy, obviously, Totti started very young. Del Piero started very young. Like, these guys obviously are generational talents. And, like,
I already know where you're going with this.
You know already, okay, these guys are top. I mean, any guy that, even if you're blindfolded, you'll be able to figure out these guys are top and they're predestined to be great. But, I mean, Italy had, young players coming in. So, like, why all of a sudden this change? Why, like, even like you said, that if you can go into different leagues, there is a blueprint to how to take care of these younger guys.
Of course.
What's the problem in Italy for you? Like, is it just culturally that it's like sink or swim type of mentality, or what is it?
So there's a saying that I heard from a Tupac song. Time is money, and money is time. And guess what? In today's day and age, that resonates with everything, even more than what it was 20 years ago, right? Because 20 years ago, there weren't all these millions and millions of euros and dollars that were thrown at the players. TV deals were like minimum. Sponsorships were minimum. There was no social media where, I have to create a brand and this and that, and you're able to get paid millions and millions on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all this stuff, right? So you had time to spare, if you want to call it like that, to build up these players. Like I have a Totti. He's amazing as a young kid. I'm gonna have time to build him up, right? Because guess what? If he gets bigger, then I'm able to create a good team. And if we win as a team, then that's how I'm getting compensated. And maybe I do sell him for 30, 40 million like back in the day, which was crazy numbers, 30, 40 million, right? Maybe I do sell them. So that was how they would that's how they would make their money. So it was okay to spend a couple extra, years developing the Del Pieros, the Tottis, the whoever it is that was coming up, right? But today, bro, it's everything's now, fast, fast, fast. Like how Rocco Comiso said in one of his interviews, his famous interviews, fast, 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 right? Where, bro, they got to produce. You got to do it now. Otherwise, next. And who's next? And who's next? So that's what I'm thinking. So that's what I believe the difference is between 20 years ago, where we do have a blueprint, but that blueprint doesn't work now because of this, because of how everything needs to be like done on the spot. Like, hey, you got one game, you got 2 games. If you don't perform, get the hell out of here. And bro, that's how you waste talent. But that's just in Italy, though. That's just in Italy, right? Because in Spain, especially in Spain, England, yes, but in Spain, bro, they give you the time to develop. Man, that's why you have all these teams in Spain that have that young talent who are able to reach certain levels. And then we say, I wish we had a Xavi. I wish we had a Gavi. I wish we had a Pedri. I wish we had, I don't know, whoever it is that's in Spain right now, right? Yeah, I wish. Bro, have some patience.
Yeah.
Figure out the mistakes that we're making and learn from them. But Italians don't care about that, man.
No,
Italians don't care about that.
I think you put it perfectly, because that's exactly, I think, even the mentality, speaking with family or just friends that are in Italy, it's obviously different, very different from the America. But I'm sure within Europe also there's different cultures, different mentalities even within Europe. But it's like, if you would tell one of these owners, would you want the money now or more money in 10 years, they'll go for the money now. And obviously time value money, so on and so forth. There's economic majors that will tell you that's better to do, right? Because then you can invest it, you could do other stuff. But when you're talking about football, we're talking about creating a product, you're going to be able to pick better fruit, later on, because even developing a youth sector, it takes years. You're not going to be able to have one, done today and in 2 years be able to start picking. You're going to have to wait maybe 5-10 years. And even at that point, you're still creating a subculture of your club. So it's definitely, it's money, time, as you said, referring to Tupac Shakur.
He made the podcast. Oh man, I just wish they would keep the business people doing business, bro. Leave the soccer stuff to us soccer and to us athletes. I wish it was like that.
Yeah,
I wish it was like that. But talking about the youth, I know that you and your agency, you guys represent a lot of young kids that play in the MLS.
Mm-hmm.
So how are these kids being taken care of in the first team? Are they like the Italian way, or are they giving them the liberty to make these mistakes and grow?
Yeah, well, definitely very different from the Italian setup. Even in terms of investing, like the facilities are state of the art. A lot of these new facilities are all done within the last 5 or so years. So like already there's a serious investment in the sport. As far as young players making mistakes, it's not it's not the level of Serie A or a top 5 European league, but we're little by little narrowing that difference. And I think it'll just it's more so a question of time, because financially the US, the structure and everything, we're sound there. And the players, the younger players, are given the chance to play within MLS. There's also an interest for the MLS teams. Ultimately we talked about the business side of the game, and this is a way for younger players to play, gain minutes, put up stats, put up what they have to do as far as game performance, and then being sold into whether it be a European powerhouse, but even within Europe, let's say, where your costs youth setup and everything else, might not reach 500,000, let's say, just put it on top end, and then you're within the MLS with the level of play and where the market stands right now. You're looking to sell a younger player for upwards of $3 million.
Yeah.
So already there's a big advantage there for these club teams, obviously the owners, and just the sporting direction in general, where it's looking for younger players to then develop, to then be sold in Europe. And the other way would be to look at like South America, for example, where even if you spend a little bit of money, you have a player that you buy for, let's say, 7-8 million, that you can eventually sell for 15 to 20 million. So that's been the real makeup of the MLS. A lot of the younger players obviously grow up dreaming of playing in Europe, and it's going to remain that way, for a little bit. I don't foresee it changing much. The only thing that I see is the MLS growing, and maybe FIFA or UEFA, things going to start changing as far as the Champions League format. Already we know it's going to change, but I do think, this is just me speaking, not on behalf of anyone, but like the Saudi League and the MLS and these other competitions, they're going to create something.
Oh, you think so? Among all of them, and they compete among each other, obviously.
Yeah.
Rivaling the Champions League of Europe.
Correct. And listen,
that would be interesting.
See that in the FIFA Club World Cup. It's going to be in the U.S. in 2025. So people don't talk about it, but that's
actually interesting.
Very, very
How awesome would that be?
Yeah.
Getting all these other, because you have La Copa Libertadores, so that's taken over there. You have the Champions League in Europe, so that's over there. So like all these other emerging leagues, if it's the Saudi, USA, it could be even Mexico, whatever it is, like whatever, all these teams, Australia, I don't even know. It's a lot of traveling if you think about it.
Yeah, you would have to set up a place where
that would be
like a host city.
That would be intense.
Yeah,
but it would be actually fun to see and to watch.
Could you imagine?
Some bragging rights for the country. But listen, I was biting my tongue because I wanted to interrupt you a million times.
I know.
My take on the MLS.
Your take. I know.
You know my take on the MLS. And I'm going to start off by saying that it's what I like is that they do give these kids a chance. And I love that, right? Yeah. And rightfully so. Because, hey, listen, if that's their business model, stick to it, do it, no problem. And I'm happy.
Yeah.
And I hope that all these kids' dreams, every single young kid in the MLS, their dream is not to stay in the MLS, but is to go play in Europe. And why do I say that? Because on the contrary of what you're saying, I feel like the level is very flat. It hasn't gotten better.
Okay.
The only thing that has gotten better is the investment towards stadiums, towards training centers, the marketing behind it. Amazing, great work. But I'm a soccer guy, right? And I want to see the right product. I want to see the good game played, right? And I don't think I've seen it evolve in that sense. And why? We talked about this a million times. I'm going to say it again. You can't start a league from the top down, going down to the bottom, right? You got to start from the bottom up. But going back to the famous Tupac song, right? Time is money, money is time. The owners don't want to wait.
No.
They don't want to build from the bottom and go up, right? Come on, man. These are billionaires, bro. They're not going to wait. They're not going to wait. So that's why they're building this beautiful, shiny thing, which is the MLS, which is great for sponsors. Yeah, I'm going to get Messi, and then for these 2 or 3 years, the MLS is going to be talked about a lot.
Yep.
I don't care about the product. I just care about the marketing. Yep. The marketing behind it, correct? Let's attract these young players. Let's attract these young players from South America. Let's bring up these players. And then if we're lucky enough, we'll find the diamond in the rough to where we're able to sell out.
A rebuttal to that, I mean, I agree as far as I do think that the level play has increased a little bit because Beckham, when he was here, there were some awful teams.
Yeah,
so
right.
it did change a little, and I think I agree as far as the overall product is not where it should be.
Yeah.
And I think they could do things that are a lot better.
Yeah.
A little take on it is, for example, if you're going and you have teams spending $15 million for an Insigne per year, instead of spending it all for Insigne, make sure you spread it out for the whole roster where you can get maybe not $15 million players, but $5 million players in every position where the overall quality of the team and the quality of the league is growing. Because the problem in America is not about soccer fans or football
fans, man.
It's
fans.
not about that.
They are
and
fans.
We're from two areas, Northeast for sure, but Northern Jersey, I mean, between the Italians, Polish, Portuguese, Brazilian, like these are all guys that they grew up on coffee and soccer. That's what it comes down to.
Yes.
So the fans are here, and there's fans that they wake up at 6:30 in the morning to watch a game in Europe.
And you got people playing at 1:00 at night.
Oh,
that are renting out all these bubbles to play for an hour.
So the soccer fans exist. It's MLS fans, and the MLS have to realize, hey, the way to do it is to build the quality of the team and
roster, and not
the
just that
roster.
one individual,
and not just the one, because no one's gonna care to go and see. Yeah, it's great to see Insigne, and I pick his name, but even let's use Messi since nobody picks on Messi, but everybody wants to go see Messi.
Yes.
But could you imagine if you had quality throughout the whole roster, the type of games that will happen and exist?
That's what the fans fall in love with.
Exactly.
They fall in love with the product. They don't fall in love with the beautiful marketing and all the beautiful colors, right? Yeah, great stadium is great, but if the game is not good, they're not gonna come back.
Exactly.
Like that's but see, they don't care. The owners don't care. Does Don Garber care? No, he doesn't care, right? Because it's the billionaires who own them.
Yeah.
And they're the ones who make all these decisions. So are you making the best decisions for the fans, for the league, or for your pockets?
Yep.
And it's always been about the pockets, right?
Yep.
And in order, my gosh, I could talk about this all freaking day.
Yep.
But in order to start, like I said, from the bottom is investing in the youth the proper way, setting up a proper structure for the youth, bro. The youth today, there's like I asked my cousins and my friends, where are you playing? Oh, this league here, that league there, that league there.
Yeah,
it's all messed up. There's a million leagues because everybody feeds off of these leagues and off of these young kids, man.
Yep.
And I hate that. Find the right structure. And when you do find the right structure where it leads you from playing academy and then giving you the possibility to go to the MLS, hire the right people to teach the game to these kids. Because today you find people that don't know the damn game, bro. They don't know how to teach a kid how to play. They read a damn book and then they think that they could go out and train. But if you ask them a question, their answer is work harder, go faster, go slower, jump higher. Like very general crap.
Yeah.
What are you teaching these kids? Are you able to sit the kid down and break down and maybe modify the exercises that you're showing your kids to where they're able to get it and then build off of that? They can't do that, bro. They can't go off the grid and then come back. No. They're stuck on they're stuck on this. They're stuck in the book that they're reading or what they see on YouTube and then try to implement it. And they can't even explain to you why they're even doing it.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. That's the huge problem.
Yeah, it's like you said, I think, and I'm not saying anything new here.
Got me heated with this damn conversation.
USSF, the Soccer Federation, does a poor job of organizing all of soccer that exists in the U.S.
Yeah.
It's very segregated. MLS makes up their own rules. USL makes up their own rules. NISA makes up their own rules. Every league, every year, every 4 or 5 years, there's a new league that comes up. So there's no structure there. And like you said, you have a lot of players that go missing or don't have the opportunity to play because maybe it's politics or just not having, like you said, the correct coaching education of people in the right places because we do not have the structure.
I'll tell you another reason why kids go missing and talent goes missing. Bro, you got to pay $5,000 to go play academy. $5,000.
Yep.
Who? Bro,
no, I know.
It pisses me off, bro.
It's bothersome.
$5,000 to make kids go play.
Yep.
Are you kidding me, bro?
Yeah.
Are you freaking kidding me?
Because there's no structure to sell a player because they changed the model. The business model has changed. Pay to play, right?
Exactly.
So let's not put it, like, for example, Parma, right? You play for Parma, that it was free or whatever, right? They have housing. But the idea for Parma was to make money off of you. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, the way that they were going to make money was in a different way, right? So here it's, okay, I'm paying for my own coaching education, but then I'm free. Like the Cartellino, my player card is free to go wherever I want to because I'm paying for my own thing. So it's a different model. Obviously, it also hurts players because soccer worldwide is the poor man's game, and in the U.S. it's the rich man's game.
Yes.
Because if your father can't get off at 3 to go drive you to practice, or your parents work on the weekends, or whoever, and no one's able to drive you to the game, you're not playing on a travel team. You're not playing on a higher level team. You're stuck playing in whatever rec league or whatever
rec leagues where
whatever
it's
it
just
is,
people
something where you
who
can
are there
play
to
in the
babysit. They're
streets
just
or
there to
play in
babysit. They
whatever,
don't teach you nothing.
and you miss out on a potential opportunity. Now, you always have guys that can kind of get out of that and figure out their own way. But how it's structured, we're not in the position of really being able to find and develop talent. Now, they have the high, right? The MLS academies.
Yes.
There are teams out there that they play fantastic football, and we have to go watch a couple of games
I would love to go
where you
see
see U13s, the way that they press, the way that they play.
Yeah.
Technically, they don't mess up a touch. It's insane. Kids 12 years old, you got to see the stop. You got to see what
music to my
the
ears.
dribbling, the cutting in, like amazing football. And there's certain teams that do it the right way, and there's certain teams that don't.
Exactly.
But it's limited because guess what? In New York, like look at England, London. There's over, I don't even know how many teams just in London alone. And the New York City, tri-state area,
Yes.
the amount of people
Oh my God.
does not allow for 2 professional teams.
But no, but so
And
then
that's where we're at.
So then there you go. So then there's the structure on how are we able to filter talent. Then eventually we'll go and play for these youths of Red Bull, of NYCFC, right? Create another league, a league of like a league below it, where it's kind of like a feeder league for these players, for these teams, to where they could go and choose the right talent and do so, right?
Yeah.
But like, there's got to be a structure, man. There's got to be something rather than just stealing $5,000 from these people's pockets, to where you lose so much more talent along the way, because guess what? Maybe that family can't afford
pay.
it, right?
Yeah.
And there's so many families and so many situations like that where this talent gets lost.
Oh, yeah.
But there's got to be a structure. Give me a damn structure, right? And then, bro, talent will be like every year, bro. Produce talent. It'll be producing talent, and then that's how you start getting your quality of better play in the MLS, right? Because you're paying so much more attention to detail and their development, to where you're getting, instead of getting one guy a year where you're selling them for like 10, 20 million to the Europe, you might be getting a bunch, 4 or 5 players now coming in through the youth, developing the right way, and then sending them out. But there's got to be a structure, bro. And nobody wants to go through that time, right? Because it is time consuming. Yeah. How long has the MLS been around? 30 years? 35 years? And what? We just made it to like a second team? Yeah. There's like a second team now? Yes, there are some teams, you're right, that there are youth systems, right? They have the youth, and not all teams have the youth now, in the MLS, right?
No, now they do.
They all do.
Now they do.
But from under under 8, 9, 10 all the way up, right? Is that how it works?
No. Now the MLS teams, they all have the youth sector set up and everything.
Right. So basically, you're telling me that it took 20 plus years to create the youth systems. So you think that it's going to take as much time to find the right structure, even for those academies that are not affiliated with the MLS? You think it's going to take that much time in order to get this going, or there's too much greediness and too many hands in the cookie jar?
I think the clubs that are affiliates do not know their rights per FIFA.
There you go.
And do not understand how the mechanism should work, because there's solidarity payments and training compensation payments due, and the MLS doesn't recognize that. Yeah. But it is something by FIFA laws that is supposed to be recognized. So there's that conversation. Okay. It's USSF as the soccer federation that doesn't have any stance. Like, they never put out any information. Yeah. Okay. And that's the biggest issue. And there's politics, because you have even the MLS and USL right now, they're going. They're competing against each other. Yes. So there's politics in that too.
The dumbest thing
so, there's all these things that kind of come into play where it's not so easy when everybody wants to be different and there's no central organization. That we have in America, we have the monopoly laws where you're not allowed to have just one. If, for example, Giuseppe Rossi wanted to create a American Basketball League and call it the ABL, and you can put together the requirements for a first division sanctioning,
Yeah.
you can
for
have
it.
a first division basketball league that is not the NBA.
Yeah.
You'll probably last 2 days
Yes.
because financially and everything else, you can't compete with the NBA. But based on our monopoly laws, you're allowed to do it. So
Yeah.
that's the thing. We have a lot of leagues that can be created and want to be, to also get investors to
Like
come
I
in.
said,
We're going to push for first division. We're going to
too
put
many
this sanction. That's
hands
it.
in the cookie jar.
Yeah.
How can we create a structure to where these hands slowly start getting away from that jar, baby?
Yep.
Because we need to find a way to get something healthy, to feel healthy when we talk about youth soccer. Because I feel like every time we talk about youth soccer, bro, there's a million complaints and there's a million of bad thoughts that go into youth soccer. It's disturbing because it was never like that growing up, man. It was never like that.
Yeah.
I remember I paid $200 for my kit when I
Yeah, it
was
was different.
when I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
And now we're talking about $5,000, man. Just
Yeah,
bothers
but
me.
those $200 used to buy a month's load of groceries back then.
Ah, that's true. Yeah, you're
Now
right.
you
Man,
can't even go
inflation
get
left and right,
grocery
100%.
shopping.
It does make sense.
But
It does make sense, but still, it's an exaggeration. It's an exaggeration.
yeah. But we'll go into, because you said hands in the money jar, and I know the conversation was about agents.
Yes.
So
That's why I wanted you on.
you want me on for
I wanted you on.
for
I wanted
something,
you on.
and I guess I'll defend I'll
You'll defend them, and I'll defend my guys. But talking about agents, and that's another. Now we're talking about high level and no more about the youths. But yeah, it could be about the youths to where agents have created their own little world, and redirected everything regarding transfers and where the player goes and doesn't go, and the payment structure of how agents get paid, which is, I think, very different from U.S. and Europe. And I know Europe because that's where I played all my career. They took over, them and the directors, right? Which makes it hard even for a young player to be playing wherever they decide to go, because I could go to an agent right now and be like, hey, listen, I want to go play for Fiorentina, right? But the problem is the agent won't be getting that commission from Fiorentina that maybe Napoli would be paying, right? So guess what? It's not about the best interest of the player. It's about the best interest of the agent. So, Giuseppe, I'm sending you to Napoli instead of Fiorentina.
Yeah.
But I don't want to play for Napoli. It doesn't matter anymore, right? So the agent doesn't work for the player no more, right? Because the payment structure of commissions rather than based on the salary.
Yeah.
Which, let me know if I'm wrong, it's changing. Aren't they going back to...
In the U.S. or Europe?
In Europe. Are they going back to, that 5% off of the salary?
Yeah. So,
or is it the same thing about the commissions and whatnot?
So FIFA now is coming down on agents. So they put together new rules and regulations.
Yes.
But there is now some obviously complaints from the agents, but also lawsuits that have put a hold on certain things in certain countries.
Okay.
I think there definitely should be some sort of regulation. It shouldn't be like a wild west for agents.
Yes.
But at the same time, I think whenever you want to create laws, you need to also have the other side there present at the table with creating. Okay. So then there's an overall understanding, because I think obviously the agent gets the bad rap, right? But there's a lot of agents that are not working with the top players. They're still finding opportunities for other players.
Yeah.
And putting a certain cap or putting a certain commission number on things might be hard for them to be able to continue working in that capacity. Okay. But I do believe that there should be some type of regulation. It shouldn't be that an agent, that just comes to a team and, like you said, can say, hey, you want this player? This is my number. You don't give it to me, he's not coming. And, that is something that happens too often.
A lot, yeah.
It happens too often, and there's agents that kind of able to create the market or have the market in their hands because of it, And I feel whenever you do something because of you as
Yeah.
the agent rather than what's in the best interest of the player, then that's when you kind of lose your duty to the player. And unfortunately, you act against the player's wants and needs.
Yep.
Because ultimately, like these are things that we've always looked at, with Mario, obviously, Mario, my partner,
Yes.
and it's not how much money can I make now.
Yep.
It's got to be what's the best project for a player, right? And what's the best opportunity for the player? Because
Yes.
then, guess what? I feel that if you pick the right team or have the right team and there's a process, then the money will come. The money will come back to you.
You nailed it on the head
And
when they said about picking the right team.
yeah,
Personally.
and relationships, because ultimately this is a relationship
Yeah.
business where if you don't care for the other person, people are gonna sense it right away.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, it shouldn't be a matter of, you speak to your accountant once a year because you have to do your taxes. Goodbye, good luck.
Yes.
Like, you need to also have a part in the person's life.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have that relationship.
And it's important. I'm sorry, and it's important you say about picking the right team, because what happens is that when agents speak to directors, the agent is speaking to a team that doesn't fit the player and the way that he plays. But that's not even a thought in the agent's mind. So then you're sending this player because you're getting a good commission to a team that's not suited for him, and guess what? The player's lost. But it doesn't matter, because guess what? The agent has somebody else.
Yeah.
Right? And then the agent has somebody. So then you're literally just throwing around players, not caring about how their development is going to be,
Yeah.
or how they feel on the team, because you make your nice money and then you put your money in your pocket, and then you start thinking of other things. So that's why, like you said, there has to be regulations to where the player and the agent literally act as one, to where that relationship is back in place. Like how when I first started, that's how I felt.
Mm-hmm.
Towards the end of my career was the total opposite. As if, yeah, you know what? I know this director. Go to this team, Giuseppe. Go to Celta Vigo. They sent me to Celta Vigo because Celta Vigo needed a player. Boateng was supposed to go there to Celta Vigo, and he was my agent's player. It didn't go through, and they're like, you know what? I'm gonna throw Giuseppe in there. Hey, Giuseppe, you want to go there? Boom, boom. So then he was able to make his commission.
Wow.
You understand? And it was at the last second of the market. While I told him a month prior I want out.
Yeah.
Right. So like, you start feeling as if like you're a rag doll.
Sure.
Right. You start feeling like you're a rag doll, and I hate that. And I hate that feeling. And that's why I said I'm breaking up contract with my old agents. I'm gonna do it myself. Because listen, I negotiated my last 2 contracts of my career all by myself, right? And then I was in contact with you guys for the MLS, and it was a different scenario.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about back in Europe, man. It's literally a wild, wild west, like how you said.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that there's talks about it. Of course, the agents are pissed off, right? Because
It's hurting your bottom line.
bro, the money these guys are making is
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Like literally, you can't go. What was it, Wolverhampton? You couldn't sell a player at Wolverhampton if it didn't go through
Jorge
who's the
Mendes.
Portuguese guy? Jorge Mendes.
Yeah.
Like, are we crazy right now?
Yeah.
Like, how does that even work, right? So these guys are literally running an operation that has nothing to do with soccer almost, right? Because no, they don't give a crap about the ball or about what the player is. It's just about them and directors and whatnot. So, but I'm happy that you guys are doing it the right way, and I hope that people start seeing the way that you guys do it, that your players talk about it, right? Because that's ultimately what we want as players, right? We want that relationship with the agents, and knowing that you guys are by our side and you guys care about us too, and not only about your needs, right? And that's how you're able to build the right relationships with the players, because like you said, that's one of the most important things.
No, I mean, it's the number one thing, I think, for any time you're gonna have a relationship with agent and player. You have to be on the same wavelength. You have to be at the same level of goals and what you want in your career. then obviously there's always the time where you could have a difference in opinion, right?
Definitely.
You can advise a player. You could say this. You can, say this. You should try to do this or whatever the case might be, right?
Definitely.
But ultimately, the player is the one that chooses.
Yeah.
The player is the one that needs to be 100% committed to a project or wanting to do something, or else it's going to show on the field.
Yes.
If also, if the player has 1,001 thoughts,
Yes.
it's going to show on the field. So, like, my role is to be able to take some of that away, be able to help in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, the player is able to focus on his career, focus on the game. And then, with the network and help to look for different teams. And like you said, identifying the right place to play, that's how you're going to flourish. Because, there's teams everywhere in this world.
Yep.
There's different leagues. There's different stuff. So it's also, I heard this once from an agent because, and I'll say it here,
Mm-hmm.
because for certain agents, it's like they might not even like a certain player. I don't know if it's their own player because you could also do an intermediary transaction for other players. But and he's like, I don't see what this sporting director sees, but it's not my objective or my choice to like the player or think this player is going to do well on your team.
Yep.
My job is to bring you who you want. So if you want somebody, I'll do it because I'll get paid on that.
Yep.
So it's interesting how that works because it kind of is
crazy.
Counterproductive to, let's say, hey, I know this house is not going to be built the right way, but we're going to do it anyway because that's what the owner wants.
And it shows you by what you're saying, right, how important you guys are also to the development of these young kids, right? Yes, the coaches, the training, but also you guys, right? Having that right guidance. Yeah. Because if you start doing like how this guy is the middleman between the players, between the team and then all the players, and I don't like this player, but I don't care just as long as I get paid, and you're just throwing him to the wolves. Yeah, here you go, throwing him to the wolves, and he's in a crappy situation. Yeah. His development starts going down, and then we lose the talent, right? Yeah. So you guys are important also with that.
Young players, let me tell you, it's very hard because they're still starting, and you don't know the responses from a player.
Yeah. So
things that won't bother a 10-year veteran could bother the player that just come up, right?
Of course.
And so that whole part can then influence his next steps, or not playing, or this or that. So it's even more of a delicate situation because you need to be able to weigh everything to figure out what could be the right next step.
Yep.
And like you said, the wrong step at that point, you always have a chance maybe to, not so much the wrong step, but like, okay, this didn't work out as we planned.
I have time.
Let's figure out the next thing. But after 2-3 times, it's very hard.
Yes.
In your case, even playing with the different teams that you've played with, you always have the credibility already. You don't have to prove anything. You didn't have to prove anything at the end of the career. It was when you're young, more so, injuries. Yours was injuries.
Exactly.
Because if you weren't injured, there'd be nobody in their right mind that wouldn't take you.
Yes.
Let's put it like that.
I agree with that.
Okay? But for a young player, they don't know who you are.
Yep.
No one's going to just...
You got to prove it. Yes, you got to prove it. And you have to be ready for those moments, right? Not only technique, physical, but up here you got to be ready, right? Because you have everything, physical, but if you don't got this, if you don't have that support that maybe you need, or that extra push, or that extra word of encouragement when you do have these big moments from your family, from an agent, from players, from coach. If you don't have that, if you don't feel that, then you're alone. So you're literally alone as an 18, 19, 20-year-old player in this crazy world that is the soccer world, that is the sports world, right? And you get lost in, you literally sink so fast in this world. So are you able to have the right people around you to do so? And sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't.
You said it best, man. You can be the best player, you score a goal, you're the best player, everyone loves you.
Yeah.
You have a bad game, you're the worst player, you hate. So
and that screws up your mind as a young kid, man.
I can't, I can't even imagine it because I never experienced it, But a young player or just any player in general, in a player's career, it never goes like this or just stays like this.
Nope.
You're literally on a roller coaster of emotions where it's not even a matter of years. It's a matter of days that things can change
go up and down, of course.
and go up and down.
And especially at that young age, you need to have the right guidance. Once you're older, listen, I had my ups and downs in my late 20s and 30s, and listen, I was man enough to take care of them on my own. Sometimes, yes, I always needed a pat on the back, but I was able to because I went through a lot of stuff. So experience plays a big part, but there is no experience at 17, 18, 19, 20 years old. There is no experience. Yeah, so many ups and downs, man, at a young age, and I'm sure that you see that with your players that you have. But I'm curious. I'm curious about one thing with your players. And with this, we're going to transition into Pepito's hot take. Your players, a lot of young players. Do you have number 10s?
We do.
You have 10? Yeah. Now, there's a big debate that the number 10 positions are slowly evaporating. No more number 10s. After Messi, I don't know who is the next number 10, if there is another 10 in this world. So my question to you is, do you prefer seeing soccer with a number 10 being played, or do you prefer the soccer being played today where it's a more direct type of game, speed, trying to get to point A to point B as fast as we can, 4-3-3s, 3-5-2s where there's a lot of wing play, and not so much having this fantasista, this person with an imagination of the game that can create something in such a small little space. Are you a fan of that number 10 type of game or the modern game?
I'm a nostalgic fan where I need the 10. Like I'm seriously on like withdrawals to be able to have the old style and the like even the rombo, right? With the trequartista right there. I mean, I think that you obviously see how the game has transformed and what it's become, and you can appreciate certain styles and changing of the game, right? It's quicker. It's a certain style where
it's
you
more
have
direct,
to
so the fans they're more involved in the game, which is great. Yes.
Yeah. But there's something about when a player is able to create something out of nothing.
The elegance, right? The elegance of a number 10. If it's a Messi, if it's a Zidane, if it's help me out. Who else is there? Ronaldinho, a Totti. These are players, bro, that like technically were so beautiful to watch. And yeah, you're saying, oh, these players, they don't run or they don't do. I don't give a crap about the running part, bro. What are you able to do with that ball? The way that they're able to manage it, the way that they're able to create an advantage for their team with what they do in such a small little place. Some people don't see it. Some people just don't see it because you have to have that. I feel like you have to have that eye. Like you have to be a true soccer fan to appreciate it. Today, there's a lot of new soccer fans, right? Especially here in America that are learning the game, right? And they never really saw the number 10. They don't understand what the number 10 does. The elegance and the technique, the imagination, correct? Even the support that he's able to give to his team from midfielder. I need to find somebody. Boom, there's my number 10.
Oh, yeah.
The forwards. I'm in a crappy situation. Number 10 comes underneath, and he's there to give, and then you're able to get out of a pressure, right? So the way that the number 10, I still remember Rui Costa, bro.
Yeah,
Rui Costa was one of the greats, man. Talking about Milan, I used to love watching him play at Milan. Having a player like that that's able to, help the team flow each time we have the ball, bro, it's special, and it's something that just is lost. And like you said, there's beauty in today's game, and there's a lot of things that I appreciate and great things that we see. But I love I love having that type of style of play when there's a 10 involved and he dictates the tempo of the game. Pablo Aimar. Remember Pablo Aimar? Bro, what a player. Oh my God, what a freaking player, Pablito Aimar. Great player. Yeah, these are I just mentioned, the best players that the game has ever seen. Maradona, all these players. The best players that the game has ever seen. And they're the players who always operate in the middle of the field. The number 10 operates in the middle of the field, which is the hardest place to operate because that's where most players are, right? But these great players were always able to get out of it. We're always able to find a solution when they're in this tight space because of that imagination, because of that technique, because of the understanding of the game is so quick in their head that that it's so much faster than the people that are around them. That's why they're not able to stop them.
All the pure tens is just a beauty and an elegance to the game that you really can't.
You know what's great? When you talk about the tens, bro, you have a smile on your face.
Oh yeah.
If you talk about wingers, you're like, oh yeah, wingers are good. Yeah, but when you talk about a 10, bro, it's that smile.
Yeah, but that's what the players that have always been imprinted in a lot of people's heads and the dreams of fans have always been the number 10. Exactly. That jersey too. It's such a classic number that everybody wants growing up. You always want the 10. I think the game will change again.
It goes through phases. It goes through phases. Yeah, but definitely
matter of
bring
time.
back the 10.
Yeah.
Bring back the 10. That could be the title of this podcast.
Well,
bring back the 10.
I don't know if you heard this, but Messi, when he got to Inter Miami, he was telling all the younger players, you're running too much. Stop running. Let the game come to you.
He just became a bigger idol of mine.
And so that's the reality of it. It's, obviously the athleticism and all those parts of the modern game is great to see, right? Like you see, it's a much quicker game.
Yeah.
But like soccer is more of a skill game compared to the other, let's say, American sports. Like it's a certain skill level that you need to have and hone. And the thing is, like, the ball runs faster than any person and the player. Like if you're moving that ball and you're put in the right position and you have the technical ability, you can get out of most situations.
Every situation.
Yes. So that was just a funny little anecdote from Messi saying, "Hey, you don't have to run after every ball. The ball will eventually come back to you if you're in the right position. Just know the spacing.
I wish
know
people
where you
would
are."
listen to that. I wish people would listen to that and implement that.
Yeah.
And implement that because we want the number 10 back.
Yes, sir.
Pete, thank you, bro. Thank you for this podcast. This was great. I really enjoyed talking to you, bro. And I hope to have you again on the show.
Sounds good.
All right, man.
Sounds good.
Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you soon.